I'm ready.
Actually nicer in here than
It's
it is
cool
outside,
in here. Just
right?
think cool.
Ready, Liz?
I'm ready, Mayor.
Please join us in a salute to the flag. And then at the conclusion, we're going to ask you to stand for a moment of silence for former Vice Mayor Robert Klein. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. And Robert Klein, he passed away recently. He was a member of the Maplewood Township Committee from 1970 to 1990, Vice Mayor from 77 to 1990, and there will be a memorial service on Sunday, June 30th at Morrow Memorial Church, 1 p.m. And we'll be hanging the bunting on the municipal building on Friday, the 28th. So in honor of Vice Mayor Robert Klein. Thank you.
Yeah, right?
Pursuant to Section 5, Chapter 231, Public Laws 1975, this is to state for the record that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public by posting and maintaining the annual notice of regular meetings on the bulletin board of the municipal building, by mailing the annual notice of regular meetings for 2019 to the News Record and Star Ledger in December 2018, and by filing said notice in the office of the Township Clerk.
Ms. Adams? Mr. Daffis?
Here.
Mr. Lembrick?
Here. Good night, CC.
Mr. McGehee?
Here.
Mayor DeLuca?
Here.
Whereas Chapter 231, Public Laws 1975, commonly known as the Open Public Meetings Act, requires that all meetings of public bodies be open to the public. And whereas Section 7A provides that the governing body has the discretion to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation of the public at any meeting. And whereas desire the governing body to comply with the provision of this act, same time to conduct its business in an orderly and expeditious manner. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Committee, Township of Maplewood does hereby prohibit, except as set forth in the formal agenda, active participation in the deliberations of the governing body by the public, and except as otherwise prescribed by law, does limit the public to the observations of the actions and discussion of the governing body at all its regular and special meetings.
So moved. Second.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mr. McGehee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the June 5th, 2019 meeting of the Maplewood Township Committee. I'll run through the agenda real quick. Our first item is going to be a proclamation in support of June as Pride Month. We did this Sunday. We're going to just reference this. It's also the 50th anniversary of Stonewall. Second, we have a proclamation for Men's Health Month, and I'll read that from up here. Then we have a resolution declaring June 7th as National Gun Violence Awareness Day, and we will, all of us on the Township Committee, have some orange on in recognition of Gun Violence Awareness Day. We'll all go down there. We'll invite you all to come up with us. We'll make the motion and we'll second it and we'll vote there. And then we can take pictures with all of you. And if you'd like to say a couple of words, that would be fine also. After that, we're going to have our first public comment period. If there's anyone who would like to address the Township Committee, we just ask you to come up and give us your name and your address. Then we'll have our monthly Board of Health meeting. And then we'll go to our consent agenda. We have 16 items. We'll be awarding a contract to plant trees. We'll be purchasing a Ford pickup truck. We'll be approving a settlement for a retiring police officer. We're going to be approving a contract for a writer to write up the proposal for the Maplewood Village Alliance on the National Register. We'll be awarding a contract for ADA improvements around town. professional environmental services at Woodland. We'll be talking about, we'll be authorizing the hiring of a summer intern for the engineering office and the administration department. We'll be approving bills and claims. We'll be inserting our Clean Community Grant into the budget. We will authorize the hiring of seasonal personnel staff at the pool, hiring at seasonal personnel staff for the recreation department. We'll be purchasing a tractor, and then we'll be appointing 5 probationary firefighters and approving the open and closed session of May 21st. After that, we have another public comment period if anyone would like to talk to us at that time. We'll be discussing a special emergency note from our Chief Financial Officer. He gave us a memo about that. We'll be hearing administrative reports. We'll have reports from elected officials, and then we will adjourn. So I always am afraid to say this, but it should be a relatively short meeting. But I jinxed us.
Don't jinx us.
So, and this, I say that to pass the torch to you, Mr. Daffis. It is in your hands.
Fair enough.
So if you'd like to talk about the proclamation of Pride Month.
Fair enough, Mayor. Thank you. And as you noted, we kicked off Pride. June is Pride Month this past Sunday, June 2nd, with a march through town and a rally here at Town Hall. And with our first ever Youth Pride family picnic over by the gazebo and Hilton Library branch, which is really lovely to see the kids do their own thing and get together and organize such a beautiful event. We proclaimed that June 2019 as LGBTQ Pride Month in Maplewood Township in South Orange Village. This is a joint proclamation. We commemorate and honor the men, women, trans persons, binary and non-binary, and all persons of color who changed the course of LGBTQ liberation history around the world. Those at Stonewall in 1969, this being the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall riots, and those who preceded Stonewall. We urge all people of Maplewood and South Orange to join LGBTQ advocacy and actions, promote diversity and inclusion, create welcoming and affirming spaces for LGBTQ youth, trans and non-binary folks, persons of color, and be visible, outspoken allies and upstanders. For any injustice against one is an injustice against all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And just to say, it was a terrific day here.
It was.
Thank you for your leadership. And I see Shannon Cuddles here too.
Yes.
Thank you for your leadership in both the march and the rally and the picnic.
Right. I'd like to acknowledge BOE member Shannon Cuddle and someone who's not present with us, but who is behind every march and rally that we do for Pride every year, and that's the great Steve Mershon, who was also honored the other day at our march and rally. We want to thank you both for your leadership and your commitment and doing such a terrific job, especially organizing all of the youth groups for the youth family picnic over at the gazebo. Thank you.
Thank you. So next up is the proclamation for Men's Health Month. And, occasionally you do these proclamations and they, we read a lot of them, but occasionally they do mean something personally to those of us who are reading those. And this is one. We do this every June, and folks say, well, why do you do Men's Health Month? And for the most part, it's because men don't take care of their health. They don't go to the doctors. They don't talk about their health. We're supposed to, I guess, be tough, and we don't do that. And so I want to tell you about my story about what happened to me here. And I was just walking by this room out here, and I saw that our health department was doing blood pressure testing. So I came in and said, I'll do my blood pressure. And it was pretty good, not a problem, but they were also doing blood sugar testing. So I said, you know what, I haven't had that done in a while, so let me go do that. Well, my number was off the chart, literally off the chart. And she did it again, and it was maybe even higher than the first time, in like 2 minutes. So I said, oh, don't worry, it must have been something I ate, maybe I had that piece of candy back in the clerk's office, that we try to keep everybody healthy with.
Yeah.
So then I decided, maybe I ought to pay attention to this. And I went to the doctor, and sure enough, my blood sugar has been running high. I didn't know it, didn't pay attention probably to stuff that was happening to me. I know everybody was saying, well, you've been losing weight, but that is one of the things that was going on. So now I'm on medication, and I'm seeing doctors, and this is something that would not have happened if I hadn't really, by accident, walked by the room and saw the nurses here. So I want to thank the health department for doing that, and I want to urge, I don't see a lot of men here, but all of us men who are here, is to really pay attention to your body. And, if in the proclamation, we talk about men living on average 5 years less than women, and Native American and African American men even having lower life expectancy. Men only make 1/2 as many physician visits for prevention as women do. Women, they got it together when it comes to healthcare. But men, we don't, if nothing's happening, we kind of just forget about it. So it certainly made me rethink my own, hopefully, path going forward of paying more attention and getting checkups, health, prevention checkups and things like that. So, and all that is to just say, I will read the therefore. I, Victor DeLuca, Mayor of the Township of Maplewood, on behalf of the Township Committee, do hereby proclaim June as Men's Health Month in the Township of Maplewood, and encourage all our citizens, and particularly men, to pursue preventive health practices and early detection efforts. So I would urge those women who know men to urge them and push them and prod them to go take care of themselves. And one thing you can do is our next Healthy Avenues van will be outside here at Town Hall on June 18th. Correct. And we're going to be doing men's health education and awareness, and we'll do body mass index and blood sugar testing. And this is free. We do it. The one that I had done was working with St. Barnabas. Oh, no, it was Horizon. And this one is working with, I think it's Atlantic, right? Is that right? Overlook. Yeah. Overlook, yeah. So we're bringing resources out. So I would just hope that you can encourage men in your lives, or any men listening, or any men in the room, to stop by and just get checked out.
Is that for only men at the van?
No, I think it's everybody.
Okay.
But I think there's
sure.
there's a particular emphasis, I think, on trying to get some men there this month. Okay, so next up, let's go down, meet our activists up at the microphone, and we'll do Resolution 124-19. We'll be strutting our orange. This is just a prelude to Friday, when we'll really be decked out in orange. Okay. Yes, let's do the bracelet. Thank you. This is cool. So I don't think we've ever done a resolution from the floor like this, but we'll try it. Ms. Fritzen, we have a resolution?
Yes, Mayor. I have it for you if you'd like to read it.
Just read the title.
Resolution number 124-19. Maplewood and South Orange Joint Resolution declaring June 7, 2019 as National Gun Violence Awareness Day to honor and remember all victims and survivors of gun violence, and declare that we as a country must do more to reduce gun violence.
So I'll move that resolution, and I'll second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mr. McGehee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca.
Yes, thank you. So the motion passed. So we've done this resolution. We've done this now for a couple of years. We've had some rallies in the park and around town. And this year there will not be a local rally. There's some other rallies going around. But it is very important, and Friday, June 7th, is the day when we're asking everyone to wear orange. This is about gun violence. So I think we can all come to agreement, whatever you think about guns, we can all come to agreement that there's too much gun violence going on. And, we need to look at it in a lot of different ways. We on the Township Committee have taken some very strong positions in favor of the regulatory actions that both the legislature in Trenton and the Congress has entertained. Not so successfully in Washington, more so at the local level. We've spoken to the governor about this. We've also worked, now we're working with a group around the state in getting, and starting to highlight what guns are being used by folks who commit crimes so that we can trace back the guns that are being used and go to the manufacturers. So there's a lot of different ways that we're working to try to stem this problem and really address gun violence. So I want to thank you all for coming out, and you can have some, you want to say some things? Right by the microphone.
Oh,
You can introduce yourselves too?
Yes,
well, I wanted
please.
to thank the Township Committee. I'm Malia Herman from 6 South Crescent in Maplewood. And I want to thank the Township Committee for this proclamation. As you know, we are but 3 representing many, many, many people in town who feel the same way about the gun violence and want to see it stopped. So I just want to tell you a little bit about Wear Orange Day is the first weekend in June every year. It's Wear Orange, or National Gun Violence Awareness Weekend. And we have events this weekend to raise awareness about gun violence and honor the lives of gun violence victims and survivors. Orange is a color that 15-year-old Hadia Pendleton's friends wore in her honor after she was shot and killed in Chicago in 2013. Since then, orange has been the defining color of the gun violence prevention movement. The color orange honors more than 90 lives cut short and the hundreds more wounded by gun violence every day. So thank you again to the Township Committee for this important statement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if-
Say who you are and anything else? Say who you are.
Microphone.
Okay, I'm Diane Dresdale. I'm a mom's, I'm a Brady, and I'm also representing National Council of Jewish Women, which we've been really active on this issue, especially at the State House, and I thought I'd show up today to lend my support. Thank you.
I'm Amelia Hallquist. I live on Elmwood, and I am part of the Moms Demand Action and just a local mom. So thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for everything that you do to support.
For your
So
action.
you want to take a picture?
Yeah.
Come on up. All right. There you go. All right, anybody else with this one? I'll go first. Come on. Hold on. Here comes Scott. Good job.
I was thinking about it.
Anyway, thank you for all you do.
Mayor, I have a little update to that, if I may.
Sure.
Mayor, if you would indulge me, since we are honoring all the victims of gun violence in our country, which is a daily occurrence, and we need to stop this, and we can stop this. And the conversation for reasonable gun safety legislation is moving forward thanks to activists like the ones that we are with us here today. And tying it into Pride Month, I wanted to take a moment to remember the 49 lives that were massacred at the Pulse nightclub in 2016. Starting June 8th through June 16th, annually is a Honor Them with Action national movement to remember the 49 persons. And if you would all indulge me, I'd like to read their names very quickly. Stanley Amaldavar, Amanda Alviar, Oscar Aracena Montero, Rodolfo Ayala, Antonio Devon Brown, Daryl Roman Burt, Angel Candelario Padro, Juan Chavez Martinez, Louise Danielle Condi, Corey James Connell, Tevin Eugene Crosby, Bianca Deidre Drayton, Simon Adrian Carrillo Fernandez, Leroy Valentin Fernandez, Mercedes Marisol Flores, Peter Gonzalez Cruz, Juan Roman Guerrero, Paul Terrell Henry, Frank Hernandez, Miguel Angel Honorato, Javier Jorge Reyes, Jason Benjamin Josephat, Eddie Jamaldry Justice, Anthony Luis Laureano Disla, Christopher Andrew Linonen, Alejandro Barrios Martinez, Brenda Lee Marquez McCool, Gilberto Ramon Silva Menendez, KJ Morris, Akira Monet Murray, Luis Omar Ocasio Capo, Heraldo Ortiz Jimenez, Eric Ivan Ortiz Rivera, Joel Rayon Panagua, Juan Carlos Menendez Perez, Enrique Rios Jr., Juan Nieves Rodriguez, Javier Emmanuel Serrano Rosado, Christopher Joseph Sanfilas, Yomari Rodriguez Sullivan, Edward Sotomayor Jr., Shane Evan Tomlinson, Martin Benitez Torres, Jonathan Antonio Camuye Vella, Juan Rivera Velasquez, Luis Vielma, Frankie Jimmy Velasquez, Luis Daniel Lestat Wilson Leon, and Jerry Arthur Wright. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're now at the point in our agenda where we invite anyone who would like to come up to speak to us, to come to the microphone and give us your name and your address and share anything you might want. So we'll open the public comment period. Is there anyone who would like to address the Township Committee?
Hi, good evening, Sharon Cuddle, Maplewood. I just wanted to say a big heartfelt thank you to the Township Committee, the Mayor, also DPW, Andrew Fishman, all of the police, the fire, all the local township agencies that came together to help kick off Pride Month on Sunday. It was a collaborative effort And it was a great day, as was already mentioned, for the Equality March, 3 different flag raisings and Youth Pride. And I wanted to make sure that, I wanted to say thank you for that. I can tell you that I've heard feedback from students that it was so impactful and powerful. So thank you for your support and supporting Youth Pride, the kids, and the Equality March. And especially want to also acknowledge Committeeman Dean Daffis for his leadership, not just within Youth Pride and the Equality March, working with community members, but for now extending June Pride Month activities, because visibility matters, it changes lives. So thank you to everyone in the township that's helped and worked on Pride Month's events. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Tomorrow morning, there's a department head meeting, and if you would convey those thanks to everyone for their support, because a lot of people work even behind the scenes, engineering and,
Yes.
of course, just helping us all along. So, and the fire department, let's not forget them. And
Police
so
department.
if you could just thank everyone tomorrow. Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the Township Committee? Okay, we will close the first public comment period. There will be another one later. We'll move into our monthly Board of Health meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Pursuant to Section 5, Chapter 231, Public Laws Act of 1975, this is to state for the record that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public by posting and maintaining the annual notice of regular meetings on the bulletin board of the municipal building, by mailing the annual notice of regular meetings for 2019 to the News Record and Star Ledger in December 2018, and by filing said notice in the office of the Township Clerk.
Ms. Adams?
Here.
Mr. Daffis?
Here.
Mayor DeLuca?
Here.
Mr. Lembrick?
Here.
Mr. McGehee?
Here.
Whereas Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, commonly known as the Open Public Meetings Act, requires that all meetings of public bodies be open to the public, and whereas Section 7A provides that the Board of Health has the discretion to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation of the public at any meeting, and whereas it is desired that the Maplewood Board of Health to comply with the provisions of this act, same time it conducts its business in an orderly and expeditious manner, now therefore be resolved by the Maplewood Board of Health, Township of Maplewood, that it does hereby prohibit, except as set forth in the formal agenda, active participation in the deliberations of the Board of Health by the public, and except as otherwise prescribed by law, does limit the public to observations of the actions and discussions of the Board of Health at all of its regular and special meetings.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mr. McGehee?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Fritzen. I'll now entertain a motion for the approval of the May 7th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mr. McGehee?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Fritzen. Mr. Rowe, you have the floor.
Mayor, I was happy to hear your story. And we call that, it's like the Mets hitting a home run. We're able to do that. And I resolving.
You mean a rare story?
I figured guys in baseball, all fit out of it. And I'm resolving to take better care of my health because I've been neglecting it. So even though I'm the health officer, so. First, I want to bring up about the summer breakfast lunch program. It looks like it's a go. We've met with the Board of Education Superintendent and Mr. Roth in the business office, and I think he's going to be presenting that at the next Board of Ed meeting. Maybe Shannon knows that, maybe she doesn't. And we're hoping that they will approve it. The plan is that for the Board of Education to authorize $4,000 for the summer breakfast lunch program. The Township of Maplewood would hire the supervisor, and we would pay that person during the course of the summer and then bill the Board of Education when we're done. So it looks like we're going to need 2 resolutions, hopefully prepared for the next Township Committee meeting. One would be authorizing the Township to work with the Board of Education on this particular project. And the second would be, is the finance office requires that we name the person and their hourly rate and their start time and their end time. So we may need to do it as two separate resolutions, but that's what we need. I'm hoping there's a consensus to do this, and if so, we'll all work to prepare the resolutions for the next Township Committee meeting.
Perfect. Please prepare them.
Okay, very good. I'll do that. And just today, we've been putting our summer intern to work, who's also, as I mentioned last time, she's a graduate of Columbia High School and working on her degree at Rutgers. She's first-generation Haitian. She speaks Creole fluently, and we just prepared flyers today for the summer program in English and Creole. We'll be doing one in Spanish, but these were just done today, so I wanted to pass them out.
And just for the public's knowledge, this program is designed to provide breakfast and lunch to deserving youth in our community and greater community who will not be getting lunch or breakfast after the school year ends. So in Seth Point alone, we have 43% of our students on reduced lunch. So it's a big deal. So thank you, Mr. Rowe and Candace and everyone for their efforts.
Yes, and it's just not open to Maplewood, it's South Orange and Irvington children if they want to come. We're partnering with the town of Irvington, so I want to thank them for their cooperation in this. We're a satellite program of the Irvington program, and they're readily agreed to do that. So thank you to Irvington for that.
I just want to compliment you on negotiating with Mayor Voss not to have his picture on this flyer.
That must have been tough.
Well, they did insist that it say Irvington.
I understand.
Flyer. Yeah.
I didn't look at the back. Yeah. Oh, there he is, okay. Because, there's nothing that happens in Irvington without Tony Voss's picture, or Joe D's picture. in the county, so.
County executives not
right.
on here either, that's nice.
We have a lot of special programs coming up. The health department with Barnabas Hospital will be at the Pride Festival Sunday, and also Juneteenth is this Sunday at the Durant Hedden House. And the health department will have a presence. We're doing blood pressure. We're working with a group called Lifesavers. It's where you do DNA testing to see if you may be a match for someone who needs blood or a transplant, and also sickle cell, because Juneteenth is a celebration of emancipation for slavery. We went to the high school this month to check toilets in the D wing, which apparently that's the infamous wing, and it lived up to its reputation. We found quite a few things that needed repair. I notified the administration to fix it, and we will be back to see that they fixed it. I think the most egregious picture was there was a garbage can that was dumped into the toilet, and I don't know why kids do that, but they do it. So it's something they have to constantly keep after, and we'll be inspecting to help them, encourage them to do that. And that is, I just wanted to say, I contacted Mr. Ham at New Jersey Transit and talked to him about cleaning the ditch by the river. We had our Municipal Alliance meeting this evening, just before the town committee meeting, and I just want to say this is the best group of people we've had on the Municipal Alliance. It's tremendous energy, lots of really good ideas, lots of cooperation and coordinating with the police, the schools, the township, different other volunteer groups that we work with, and it's a beautiful thing. And so we're going to continue to do our anti-drug and alcohol abuse education, and that's our mandate, and we're going to continue to do it.
Mr. Rowe, could you just brief the public on just a couple of things that the Municipal Alliance has worked on 2018-19, just for the record?
Well, okay, I think the most significant was this was the third year of the open gym, but this was the year it really busted out. And they had it just about every month, except for a couple where there are conflicts. They had it 4 times in May, ending with a big cookout. There's well over 100 students that come to these events. They had a program at the high school where they work with students to discuss kind of social issues, and a lot of students attended that. lot of police-student interaction. The police attended this, I forget exactly what they called it, but it was well-attended program. The police worked with the middle school children. They worked with the guidance counselor at the middle school and identified some youths who were heading the wrong way. And they got them to the gym early in the morning and started working out with them and exercising. And the Alliance helped pay for the gym. It wasn't very expensive, but it made a big impact, I think, on the youth. They're up at 6:30 or 5:30 in the morning, going to the gym to work out before school. And the reports are that behavior was greatly improved. So that's another home run. YouthNet continues to run after-school programs at the middle school. The LEAD program, formerly called DARE, is still in action. I know I'm missing stuff.
That's okay.
But, the Parenting Center continues to do their mentoring programs, which are a big plus. They're one of those programs that they call evidence-based mentoring. So we're happy to continue working with the Parenting Center.
Thank you, Mr. Rowe. Would any of my colleagues like to address the Board of Health?
Yeah, I'm
Deb?
sorry. Mr. Rowe, could you just finish the special programs for the month? Because there's something, explain the Associated Humane Society
Yes.
events and the
they-
sepsis.
They have a mobile van. They've been coming here for the last several months. Now they're coming twice a month, two consecutive days. The first day, June 27th, is to spay male cats. And they can do a lot of male cats in one day. And that's kind of their goal for that day. That's what we advertise.
Is that part of Men's Health Month?
Not male dogs, male cats.
It's, yeah. I knew that.
And then the dogs.
Okay, the Associated Humane, on the 28th, they're going to do spay and neuter dogs and also well care. And the 27th is also well care for cats. So rabies shots, distemper shots, ear care, all the things that a vet might do. Maybe not as in-depth as a vet might do, but like kind of well care. It is kind of the same thing, Mayor, in that, it's preventive
That's
health
okay.
care.
We don't need to go, that's too much information.
So are these take place where?
Pardon?
Where are these? In front of Town
They'll be
Hall?
parked right in front of Town Hall.
And what are the hours?
They'll be here from 9 to 4.
Okay.
They like you to drop off the animals in the morning, do the surgery, and then you come back later in the day to pick them up.
Will we put an email out about that?
Yeah, because there's a lot of details.
Yes.
I have a question. And Mr. Rowe, this may be more in DPW's department, but it has a health component, so I thought you might have an answer. I got a question from two residents, actually, who one is interested in recycling propane tanks, the other has what he described as hazardous household waste, and they're wondering what opportunities either in Maplewood or in Essex there are to recycle that type of material. Is that something that your department would?
The Essex County sponsors 2 hazardous waste days, one in the spring, which was just a few weeks ago.
Okay.
And they also do it again in the fall. So they would take they don't take everything. And I'm not sure if they take propane tanks or not, but I can check on that. If you want the resident to contact me, I'd be happy to give them, the exact information.
Okay. And so that would be done through the county then?
Yeah.
Twice a year?
It's up in Cedar Grove at the county hospital area.
Okay.
And they do that twice a year.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else like to?
Yeah, I wanted some clarity on food trucks. We have food trucks on our, an ordinance now regulating them. We're going to be having more food trucks come in as part of different events, including, we hope, at the end of the month, when the car show happens on Springfield Avenue, that there'll be a food truck from Shake Shack. What is the ordinance now? Do they have to move and they can't be in one location for a longer period of time?
if we're having a festival, they can get a one-day license and park at the festival site. And what I do when I have them apply for a license, I try to check them out because a lot of them are out-of-town businesses. So I may check with their, the town that they're located in. It's not always easy to do that, but I try to check them out ahead of time as much as I can to make sure they're probably going to be clean and sanitary. And then that's a $25 fee. And we've been doing that at festivals for several years now. But you're right, it's getting more and more. So I would want Shake Shack to get a one-day license. And I think there may be some other trucks. Ruthie's
Yes,
has been at so many events that I finally just gave them a license.
they're local.
Year-long license. So they don't have to come to me every time they do a
So
festival.
like, on, the weekend, there's like an ice cream truck that goes over to D Hart, parks there for a couple hours because they have a lot of soccer games going on.
Well, we have 4 ice cream trucks licensed right now. It's actually two trucks for 2 businesses.
Okay.
And they are required to, if they're parked on the street, to move every 15 minutes. That's the ordinance. If they're parked on private property, not quite sure what the rule on that should be.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mayor, if you're,
No,
I'll wait till you're done.
I got it.
So a couple components to this. I want to tease it out a little bit. So you have to have a license in order to come to Maplewood as a food truck. That's part A, right?
Yes.
Okay. And the license allows you to do what?
Most of the one-day licenses I give are for festivals, like the Pride Festival. I think there may be some food trucks there.
Right.
And the 4th of July. So
Right.
I work with the people who organize the fairs to see who has registered with them. And then the people who run the fairs also know that the trucks need to be licensed by the health department and also by the fire department.
When you mentioned Ruthie's, I think maybe I misheard you, but I think I heard you said you gave them a license for the year?
A yearly, they've been coming to so many events.
What is
and
that?
I was-
What does that mean?
What is the yearly license?
The yearly license is $150.
No, not how much it costs, but what does that mean?
They can be there.
Well, I license restaurants and food stores, and that's on a yearly basis.
So they can come to Maplewood.
So they've been coming to so many events, it just seemed like rather than have them come
Right.
every weekend almost
Right.
for an event license,
Okay.
I thought it was just maybe simpler, but I also was satisfied with inspecting their business that they would be fine, that I didn't need to inspect them every time.
Right. They're also local too.
Yes.
So the next piece here, and this is really where it's at, notwithstanding the license that you receive, let's say Ruthie's has a license for a year. When they go to events, it's okay. When they park on the street in a non-event capacity, let's say, for instance, on Thursday nights, they wanted to sell food at Yale Corner, our new pop-up truck on Springfield Avenue, they would still have to adhere to our ordinance that requires them to move every 20 minutes?
15 minutes.
15 minutes.
And I've advised Ruthie that I don't think that's a good way to do business. I don't know if I hope they haven't been doing this, but what I told them is they were really for events or maybe sporting events.
Well, if
Or maybe
we,
the soccer club might want them to come.
right, but if we, the governing body, wanted to create placemaking opportunities as we're doing, such as the new pop-up park, and we wanted as part of that experience to include food trucks, we would have to amend our current ordinance. Do you know what it was based on, that 15-minute rule?
I think it goes back to an era when there were more food trucks. You know, people would have, ice trucks and vegetable trucks, and more recently, it's been frozen ice cream trucks. So the food truck idea is a newer idea. And I don't know, and, there weren't that many food trucks. There were food trucks. I certainly know some towns have had food trucks, but Maplewood did not. And it's a decision the committee has to make if they want to do that, but there's also, I'll have to say, there's businesses that rent.
Sure, Mr. Desiderio, please.
I think Mr. Rowe is just actually getting to what I think is the genesis of it, and that is that you park a truck in front of a business that's paying rent,
Right.
okay, and has been in business for 20 years, and you're taking business away from those people because you're parked in front of them and selling the same product. So I think that's the genesis of why they want them to be actually mobile, as opposed to sitting there for 6 or 7 or 8 hours, when you may have a fruit and vegetable truck parked there in front of a fruit and vegetable store, just by way of example, and taking business away from a taxpayer and a renter. So that what I think is the genesis of it.
Right, and that is just on public property, the 15-minute rule. And
On
we,
the street.
Mr. Rowe wasn't sure about
I
private
think-
property, so we can
If
check.
it's private
we can check
property,
it.
they would have to go through the zoning board and the planning board to be approved for
I
that.
thi-
Say they wanted to park at a gas station,
right,
they would
Well-
have to get approval from the
and I
planning.
I brought up the food truck thing a year ago, beginning of June, about creating those for, like, and then we've also created so I think we need to flesh this out as a governing body to see what we want to do and what parameters we want to set for bringing in food trucks on private property that either we're leasing or someone else is leasing, and kind of see what that does and
What committee will this go back? to?
Code. We're going to discuss it at the next code meeting.
Okay, then you can bring it to the body after. Okay,
Absolutely.
let's do that.
So one thing, there was a truck at the farmer's market on Monday when I was there. There's a new food truck there now.
Right.
That's different than a public street. That's a festival lot. And the same thing if
That's
they
the
were.
event.
Yeah, if the partnership was holding an event at Yale Corner, actually in some ideas is we pull those trucks into the lot itself.
Sure.
And not on the street, but we have to take a look at the current law. If it says on the street, in the lot, we got to fine tune it and see what the difference is there. And suppose it wasn't, suppose they were just doing a movie night there. They didn't have food trucks, but then he pulled up with his food truck parked on the street there. That's the question. Does he have to move every 15 minutes and that kind of stuff? So we need to
We have to
talk
flesh it
about
out.
these different
Right.
things.
so maybe, Mr. Rowe, you could attend the next code meeting,
I could do that.
right? That's next
Yeah,
week.
I think if just off the top of my
Right
head,
here in this building,
is,
right?
it would probably be good to talk to the Village Alliance and the Springfield Partnership people to see.
There
what
is
they
those
think.
meetings.
Yeah,
They're at those
yeah.
meetings, yeah.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
So
Bass.
I'm sorry, the one thing you didn't talk about was the Sepsis Alliance filming.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yes.
do you want to do it or you want me to
Uh,
give the background?
Please do. You-
Okay, so at a concert at the Woodland, I was approached by an individual who lives in town who is the director of an organization dealing with Sepsis Alliance. It is a deadly disease. They're doing an education program, and they do education programs around. And they have an idea that they wanted to do a filming
Yes.
of a case at the middle school, where the middle school nurse or someone in the school would call 911. They would film the call coming in. They would film police arriving on the scene, our first aid coming over, ambulance. They would film the ambulance going to Overlook. Filming would be mostly inside the middle school. So we had a meeting. I had Candace and I met with the film producer and the head of the Sepsis Alliance. And then we spoke to the chiefs and we worked it out, got everybody on board. I spoke to Ms. Viveros, we got everybody on board. I got a call today that we've run into a problem. We are doing this in cooperation with them. And the idea is that this is going to be a film. We talked about having the premiere maybe at the movie theater. We also talked about doing an education program after that. So the two issues are the insurance. We require for
$1 million.
what's the
5 million.
5 million, and they have $1 million, and the difference is about $1,500. They're filming in the middle school. They're not really doing anything on the street. They're doing cutaways on the street. And the second thing is the issue of, we have something in there about blocking out our name. We don't, okay, so that's not an issue. Okay, because one of the things we want to do is we want to get credit as Maplewood for being part of this and you know, showing that we're aware of this. This is really geared for first responders.
It's a training film.
It's a training film, essentially.
Right.
So the question is, what can we do about this? Can we waive this?
The answer to the second question is it's not an issue. Apparently, there was a policy at one time for a commercial film about blocking out, and that this doesn't apply here. And because Ms. Veros and I had spoken about this earlier, I reread the ordinance. Ms. Veros says the administrator has the authority to waive any of those requirements.
Okay.
Right.
So I'm going to sick them on you.
I had our fire chief approach me about the same idea, and so I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Changing the insurance, as long as, yeah, they have $1 million insurance.
You do, I haven't addressed that yet. I don't have an issue with the.
No, I want to know about the insurance. Can we?
With regard to the insurance, I'd been talking to Ms. Fritzen, and we were trying to go through a 3 million policy, so.
Still going to cost them. I mean, the thing is, this is a nonprofit. We're doing it with them. They're not really going to be on the street. They're going to be inside. So do you want us to make the decision for you, or you?
Ordinance doesn't allow you to make the decision.
Okay. So we're giving you input. Okay, I will have them call you. Okay, thank you.
Is all that being coordinated with school administration?
Yep.
I assumed that was the case.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any more questions for Mr. Rowe from my colleagues as he walks away? You don't want to stay up there any longer, Mr. Rowe?
Will you entertain a motion to adjourn, Mr. President?
Not yet. I want to ask the public if they would like to
okay.
address the Board of Health. So to that point, would anyone like to come and address the Board of Health in the public? Seeing no one, I will now entertain a motion for adjournment.
Mr. President, I move that we adjourn the
Second.
meeting of the Board of Health.
Second, so moved.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mr. McGehee?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Fritzen. Mayor.
Thank you. We're back to our regular agenda on item number 11, consent agenda. Can we get a motion on the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I move adoption of items 1 through 16 of the consent agenda.
So moved.
If that's a second. Okay.
Second,
Moved
sorry.
and seconded. Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mr. McGehee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, except I'll be abstaining on item 15 and 16. I was not here for the meeting of the 21st of May. Okay, next up there's another public comment. Is there anyone who would like to address the Township Committee? Seeing no one, will close that. We have reports from departments. Can we get a report on the special emergency note? Who's doing that? Are you? No.
You received information from the chief financial officer and an explanation regarding nothing more than the township committee has to be notified, and it'll be followed through with just memorialization, become part of the minutes that you were so notified about this renewal of special emergency note. Nothing more than that.
All right, great, thank you. Administrative reports, Ms. Viveros.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things I wanted to update the Township Committee on. The paper project is over on Inwood. We've been communicating with all of the merchants and with the public about the different steps. At this moment, they are on the, is that the
South side.
south side, closer to the woodland. So we're, logistically, they're pouring cement, so we just have worked out with the residents there and the business owners that temporarily those driveways are blocked off, and they are using the Highland entrance and exit, if you will. The farmer's market started this past Monday. Our Assistant Township Administrator started a Facebook page, so if anyone wants to follow our farmers market and events that are happening, different vendors that are coming every Monday, I think that was a great idea and a great resource for everyone. Our capital projects are underway and are being planned by our different departments. One of the highlights is SDL bringing on Public Works. And one of the things we'd like to do is that once they come on board, we'd like to completely move over all of our requests, our citizens' requests to the system. So we'll do a little more media on that and how to walk the residents in making complaints or requests such as pothole repairs. And the mayor and I and the two chiefs are working on our OEM plan, and along with other department heads. It is a very tedious and needless to say, process, but it's interesting. So learning a lot about the what we have to present to the county as far as our emergency operations and how that all comes together and the various players. So we're going to be submitting that June 10th, which is Monday, but it should be done by Friday. So, and that's all I have. If anyone has any.
You get to see this?
Yes. There's actually a distribution requirement for the basic plan. I mean, the plan is probably 500 pages.
I'll send you a zip drive
But,
summary, perhaps.
Yeah, what you get is a basic plan, which has the whole thing, which I just finished today.
Right.
So that's 36 pages. So yeah, everyone will get a copy of that. And that really sets the tone. And then there's 20 annexes for each department and issue like terrorism, flooding, social services.
This isn't done every year.
Every 3 years.
Every three, okay.
So, just on the farmer's market, I was amazed at how much produce the farmers already have. So, I mean, all the root vegetables and stuff, but there were some really nice strawberries there, plus the, we have the cheese people there and the bread people were there, and then the other truck, and then I guess there was a nonprofit there at a table there. So it was really hopping for the first day.
Do you know which food truck was there?
I don't.
Probably Ruthie's.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Was it Ruthie's? Okay.
Is this one that's a vendor?
It was
Right.
not Ruthie's.
Okay, then.
It was not Ruthie's.
Wait, so what are you saying, that a food truck?
Sounds like someone just showed up.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not
Right.
good.
So we'll look into that. And just one other thing, our Sustainable Jersey certification did get submitted last week, 820 points, which is more than double what we did before. So we'll look forward to that and seeing what the outcome is. But in the meantime, we're trying to work on the Gold Star. And one of the big components to that was putting out an RFP for the ESIP, which is the Energy Savings
That went out.
Improvement Program. And the BPU weighed in on that, and so we're good to go. So we're looking forward to that. And so that's going to be a township-wide energy savings program, aside from energy.
Primarily around the lighting.
Right, primarily around the lighting, any solar, which we've.
Yeah, and so, well, it's to be the changing of all the lights mostly, but the other thing is just, when we got approved 3 years ago for Sustainable Jersey Silver certification, our number was 365 points. As you said, 840.
820.
We put in over 800 points, and now I don't know if we'll get credit for all those, but I think when we're down at the League of Municipalities eating that lunch and looking at our number there, we're going to be pretty high for our class of towns, so.
That's terrific.
Yep. So.
Good job, everybody.
Yep.
It was really a true collaboration. Bob McCoy, Tracy Woods, I have to give them a huge shout out.
And the mayor leading everybody and
Yes.
enforcing that March 1st deadline.
Yes. It worked. It worked much better than 3 years ago. Okay, Mr. Desiderio.
I have no report.
Oh,
Nice.
okay. Ms. Fritzen.
I have a report. I first want to report on, obviously, yesterday was election day, primary election day. Congratulate Mr. McGehee. We knew that it was going to be a light turnout. We could tell from the ballot itself, but boy, was it a light turnout. Overall, across Maplewood, 1,093 voters. But it gave us a good opportunity to fine tune our OEM building as a new polling location. And I think, in a way, there was a little bit of, put a lot of effort into notifications. And I don't know if people read things, but, every person affected in 13 and 14 received a postcard from the county with that change. They also had a sample ballot with that change. We flooded Clinton and the community center a day ahead with all kinds of signage. We had the solar sign running for 10 days. So I think we put a lot of effort. But I don't know, there weren't that many voters, but we'll see. One idea the mayor and I talked about today was initially I wanted to turn the OEM polling location around, but there weren't any outlets on the other wall. So we're going to look into some electrical changes because I think it makes more sense when you're walking in the main door that a line could at least form for November. So we're going to look into that. The way it is now, you really have to kind of go in and turn around for the machine. So.
Ms. Fritz, and I thank you again for your efforts. And I know I emailed you, and I think there are some opportunities to even continue what we're doing, and especially potentially November and June next year, there's inclement weather about the queuing and how we can leverage the whole facility so that people can be covered if we get a long queue out there.
Right. So, again, I don't have much to say. There were no machine breakdowns. And the 1,093 people that did vote had an opportunity and can't complain about any lines. So it was a successful day from a clerk standpoint. And I have an amazing staff that, even though that number of people vote, we're still here at night tallying till the normal time. You don't really get out early because less people vote. So again, I have an amazing staff and everything's smooth. My other item is just a reminder that we have the 2 SID hearings at the next meeting, the June 18th meeting. So we'll have those hearings. All the notifications went out. We'll also have 3 resolutions for our ABC renewals, plenary retail, consumption, and club license. And I'll be scheduling more event meetings. And I think really the smoothness of, for example, Sunday's event is having an event meeting and then having township committee members just, remind me about certain things to try to be a point person to get everybody on for their responsibilities. And Sunday was 3 events and phew, they all went off great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have reports from elected officials. Before we start, I just want to announce that our colleague here, Township Committeeman Dean Daffis, is going to be receiving the Pride of Essex Award during Essex County's LGBTQ Pride celebration on June 12th. So congratulations. And I also want to congratulate Shannon Cunnell, South Orange Maplewood Board of Education member, who will also be receiving an award that day. So congratulations to you. With that, we will let the awardee give the first report.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. As we said, we had a great start, kickoff to Pride. There's something for everyone all month. I'm really excited. We really have outdone ourselves this year when comparing to all of the events and opportunities to celebrate our diversity that we did last year. I want to take this opportunity to thank every single one of our department heads and all of you for your support, and especially Ms. Fritzen for coordinating all the department head meetings
meetings, and getting everybody on board with event details. Some of these events are very complicated. On Sunday at Pride Fest, we're going to have close to 30,000 people come in and out of our park between 12 and 6 p.m. So that is not an easy event to coordinate. So thank you, and to all of our department heads. I'd like to highlight two events in particular that pertain to two forthcoming events that pertain to our seniors. There's an event on Monday, June 17th, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Lunch will be provided. It's a preparation for aging event. All seniors and their families are welcome. Please RSVP with SOMA 2 Towns for All Ages, or call Kathy Rowe, or call our rec department to make an RSVP. We want to know how many people we're going to have so that we could supply enough food. Also for our seniors is an event on June 21st. It's a Friday evening between 7 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. And that one is called Sage Table. It's in partnership with Sage, in partnership with Garden State Equality, and of course with the Township of Maplewood. And it is an intergenerational dinner. Everyone is welcome, and the screening of Generation Silent will happen as well. It's at the Woodland between 7 and 9:30 p.m. Also RSVP required because full dinner will be supplied. On that note, I'd like to thank our sponsors for that. All of our sponsors of all of our events, but particularly those two, Mary Valles of the Village Trattoria will be providing dinner for Sage Table, and our great man Pete over at Parkwood would be providing lunch for the preparation and aging. As we said earlier as well, we had a very great, our last Municipal Alliance meeting, our last quarter Municipal Alliance meeting. There's some really terrific things happening in terms of open gym and youth mentoring and empowerment, and all kinds of educational programs working with kids, substance abuse related, and other educational opportunities. Next year's focus by the Municipal Alliance will be on mental health at the middle school level. In particular, preteen suicide attempts and substance overdose being very important topics. And we're seeing some alarming numbers right here in our community. So we want to get ahead of that and do the necessary work. I also am proud to announce that the Municipal Alliance will be funding our portion and South Orange's portion of the Safe Rides app. And the teams, of course, have already funded their portion, so we look forward to getting that app developed very soon. We expect to have some sort of pilot ready for students to work with and give us some interfacing feedback before the end of this month, actually. And we expect to do a rollout when school begins again in September. Let's see, what else do I have here? As Ms. Viveros already noted, the paver construction is going very well. We've been fortunate. We've had some really good weather. They're moving very quickly. There have been no complications. I want to commend you and our engineering team being very hands-on in this phase, and particularly very well in terms of communication ahead of time so that we can get to our merchants and our residents affected. So things are going very, very well there. And last but not least, I've got the winner of our participatory budgeting program. Drum roll, yes, the drum roll. Okay, so the public voting period for participatory budgeting concluded on May 31st after running for a period of 2 weeks. We received a total of 1,544 votes for public ideas. We had about 20 ideas on the ballot. Each voter was allowed to vote for up to 2 projects if they wanted. Of the 1,544 votes, 810 were online via SurveyMonkey, and the 734 were by paper ballot. And thank you, Ms. Fritzen, for helping, and Mr. Michalowski, actually, for helping us with paper ballots and the SurveyMonkey and this entire program. You've been a remarkable support, and I want to commend you accordingly. So then, without further ado, the winning project is the Municipal Wi-Fi Pilot Program with a total of 278 votes. That is a program geared towards bridging the digital divide in our community. We believe we have 15% of households without any internet access. And we know that that is creating a lot of issues in our schools with our students who currently are doing most of their homework on their laptops. The runner-up project with 220 votes is the Maplewood Pollinator Project. And so we are going to take both projects and go back to our committee and work with our experts, our engineering experts, to see what we can do for the pilot program, the Wi-Fi pilot program, at scale, and further do a further deep dive into the details of that. That's my report.
Thank you very much. Mr. McGehee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, just want to start off by saying thank you to the residents that came out and voted yesterday, and for those who supported me. I'm very humble and appreciative. It's a great honor to sit up here and serve you, and I want to thank you for your support yesterday during the election. Number two, I just want to mention that tomorrow evening in this building right here, our youth.
Thank you, I forgot.
No worries. Our Youth Advisory Committee will be holding their day, I call it Legislation Day. All are welcome, youth especially. It's an opportunity for our committee to really interact with the community, especially the youth, and show our community the amount of work they've been doing, as Mr. Daff has talked about with the map. So Safe Rides, that's a great initiative, and they've really taken on a lot and really have provided us with the age diversity that we have talked about a lot. And there'll be ice cream as well. So I shall send that free ice cream. That's at 6 p.m. tomorrow in this right here.
And they will be sitting in our seats, Mr.
Yes,
McGehee.
they'll be sitting.
Yes, they're taking over already.
They are. And then to that point, also tomorrow evening over at the Wine Barrel is a is that what we're calling the wine tasting?
European,
which is an opportunity for the adults to have wine while the kids have ice cream here at Town Hall. MAPSO Book Fair starts on Friday. So this weekend we have the MAPSO Book Fair. It's a wonderful event. Please come out and support. Some great authors will be here this weekend. And it's really an opportunity to really, again, from our culture, you know, the opportunity to listen to authors, talk about their writings, and read a couple of pieces of their work is really awesome. So if you have opportunity, please come out this weekend and support that. Also on June 9th, although we have the wonderful fest happening, we're also celebrating Juneteenth. Technically it's June 19th, but for a reason we're doing June 9th. It's really Freedom Day. It was June 19th, 1865, Freedom Day, where slaves were freed. And so it's an opportunity for people to go and learn more about slavery and the end of slavery in our country. With that, that's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Adams.
Yes, Mayor, I was going to mention, just so people know, they can also get tickets for the Springfield Avenue, the wine taste, the European vacation on Springfield Avenue at the Wine Library on their website, springfieldavenue.com. So you'll be able to find out about that. It's 6:30 to 9:30 it runs. So also, just to let people know, the basketball court that we've been discussing for the last few years, plans are being designed as we speak, and we hope to get that project done this fall, more than likely. And also, you'll notice some planting that will be taking place at what's called Flagpole Hill at the top of the amphitheater on Donnell Road, across from the train station. We did phase 1 last fall, and phases 2 and 3 will be getting underway if they haven't already. I didn't notice it today when I looked, but it should be getting done in the next, in the month of June. So that's beautification done by the Memorial Park Conservancy. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Great, thank you. Mr. Lambrick?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just a few items. First, the pool has now been open for 2 weekends. We've had great weather. Lots of people have been coming through. A lot of people have been coming in on guest passes. Hopefully, some of those folks will join for the summer. But there is obviously still time to sign up for people who want to join the pool for the summer. From the recreation department, they are filling up. They actually filled up a number of the weeks of art camp, the Funky Fun art camp that'll be at the Woodland this summer. But if you're interested in that, there's still time to sign up for at least some of the weeks. And also Kids Camp is starting to fill up. Some of the weeks are really getting close to full. So anyone out there who's looking to put their kid in camp for 1 or more weeks this summer should reach out to our recreation department soon to sign up. We had a great Memorial Day here in Maplewood with starting off with the parade and then the ceremony here at Town Hall with our local veterans leading the way at that. And then the YMCA ran a great duck race as usual. And I think the weather this year is about as good as we've ever had. And finally, just wanted to thank Ms. Fritzen and her awesome team for their hard work yesterday on Election Day. And as she noted, it's a long and difficult day, regardless of how many people vote. So we appreciate you and thank you. Democracy doesn't work unless you and your team do. So thank you. And that's all. That's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Great, thank you. So I have 5 quick items. First, my office hours are Tuesday night, June 11th, 7 to 8 p.m. here at Town Hall. We have our next talk to the Township Committee on Saturday, the 15th. That's from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and we'll be at Dehart Park on the walking path behind the building.
By the exercise.
Is that what that is, an exercise thing? I was wondering what that was.
The equipment.
Yes, I know. I want to talk about Basso, our recycling. I got an email from someone this week who says that his wife was sitting on the front steps and the workers came up to her and said that she had an excessive amount of recycling and that they ought to consider providing a tip to them.
Well, we had that problem before.
We have, and then there's folks who are making comments about, can I get a bottle of water and stuff like that. So I'm going to give this to you if you could follow up on it with Basso.
We're aware of it.
You're aware of it, okay.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't think anybody working for Basso should be asking for a tip.
clearly not. Oh, clearly not. And they've been so
They've been
advised.
told last
The
year.
problem, this has been a problem. We have no other bidders. This has been a
committee meeting. I just want to highlight a couple of things. You heard that the capital committee work is going to be starting, and that's going to help us get a 5-year plan as to a roadmap as to how we're going to go forward. One of the things that we're going to do is each department head is going to make sure that they're touching base with whoever on the township committee is relating to them through a subcommittee. So you're aware of what's going on, what kind of conversations are happening around a 5-year capital campaign. We talked about the pool bonding. We're recommending that we go out for the full $1.1 million. We think that we'll save money because we don't have to bond. We talked about going out for $750 and then going out for more, but we think that it'll just cost more money for bonding costs and all that. So we're going to start doing the RFP now to get consultants. We don't think the work is going to start until, well, if the work can start now or at the conclusion of this season, and we have a guarantee that we will open by Memorial Day of 2020, then we can start the work. If not, then we will tee everything up and then start the work in September of 2020 and go into 2021.
As soon as the last dog gets out of the pool.
Yes.
Right.
We don't want to jeopardize the opening of the pool in 2020. So we are, but if we can get it done, we can get all this done, but there's a lot to do between now and then, bonding and all that. But I believe that the next meeting, we're going to have a bond ordinance up because we have to get that done by August. And then we spoke to our CFO about the revenue situation. I think none of us were happy with the revenue information we were getting during the budget process. It shifted. He was not happy with the revenue, with the information he could give us. They are trying to rebuild the documents there, shifted over from one system to another system. So, but that is an absolute priority for us, is to make sure that as we enter this budget year, and it's not too far off, that we have very, very clear projections of revenue and an understanding of where our dollars are coming from. So that's something that he and his staff are going to be working on. And then, of course, we have negotiations coming up, which we've been having some conversations with, and Ms. Viveros is going to start some of those conversations with the labor unions now. And then my last item is just the 4th of July, just a quick couple of data points on that. I think you all know through conversations that there'll be no fence in the north field at all.
Right.
There'll be no circus this year.
Right.
Part of that is the state law has changed as to the types of animals you can have in a circus now. So you wouldn't be able to have the camels anymore. And
Basically dogs and cats.
basically dogs, cats, and clowns. And I think that the 4th of July committee just didn't think that was, they wanted to do something different. They're going to have a magician all day, or mostly afternoon, that's going to be in the south field. The north field is going to have all the food vendors and all the amusements. Again, you won't have to, you can go in there all day, you can go in there and watch the fireworks at night, there'll be no charge. There will be a fence around the south field that will have music during the day, we'll have a magician during the day. Of course, there'll be no charge for the morning runs, all those activities, the cakes, the baking contest and all that stuff, the robotics, that will all be free. The car show will be on Dunnell Road, it won't be in our parks at all.
That's great.
And there'll be a $10 day pass and a $10 night pass. You can buy both of them for $10. It's buy one, get one for early bird discounts. And if the day of the event, if you buy a day night, it's $15 instead of $20. Otherwise, it's $10 to get in at night. There'll still be a dunking tank for those of you looking to get wet. That will be on the north field. And I have been assured that it'll be the coldest water that they could get. So that's where we are. Yeah, it's gross too. Okay, with that, is there anything else? If not, we'll get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you very much. We'll see you on the 18th.